There have been significant improvements in lab-grown meat as it moves closer and closer to the consumer market. It's got some cattle ranchers associations pretty upset, and they might want some special restrictions on it. So as the U.S. Cattlemen's Association has filed a petition with the USDA arguing that meat grown in a lab, not meat that was born, raised, and slaughtered, should not be allowed to be called meat. I guess the designation only refers to anything that's suffered.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if your overall point is that this lab-grown stuff is too artificial, I mean, do people know how these animals are? It's not like, hey, they're walking through the forest and then we shoot them with an arrow. They're basically in a lab. They don't actually live the life of a true animal. Why should we treat them at that point like they are? I say either treat them humanely or get real with what you're actually producing.
So I'm a meat eater, but I don't eat meat in every meal. One, because of reasons of guilt that you may have touched on a little bit, but two, I just don't think I need meat in every meal. And I don't see it as black and white. Like, I don't feel like I need to be a carnivore or a vegan. I see it as, well, what if we make incremental changes that are good for my health and good for the environment overall?
Yeah. You're not
so I love the idea of eating, you know, tissue, fat, muscle that was grown in a lab, as opposed to, oh, this was a baby and it grew up and it wasn't treated in the best conditions. I mean, if you've seen videos about certain conditions at certain ranches or, you know, farms, chicken farms too.
Pork processing plants, they treat the pigs terribly.
It does make you feel bad, and then there's this moral quandary in your head, which is, I like the taste of meat, but I know what I'm doing is causing this.
Yeah, I get what they're doing there. I would say there's a lot of industries that we can and should kind of despise in this country. I think that the food manufacturers are the ones that I despise the most because of how much they manipulate government policy to suit themselves. And I think it's really like rich that like after like doing everything they can to allow themselves to pass off all of these different food products that don't actually have like the fake butters and the fake milks and the fake, all of those things. They didn't want any indication that it was fake. Now they're like, oh God, well this thing that people need to know about to protect themselves.
Is it fake?
Well, it's certainly different.
Because this tissue wasn't grown on a farm, it doesn't mean it's not meat. I mean, the USCA certainly thinks so. They released a statement saying the government should require that any product labeled as beef come from cattle that have been born, raised, and harvested in the traditional manner, rather than coming from alternative sources such as a synthetic product from plant, insects, or other non-animal components. I would argue insects are animals, and any product grown in labs from animal cells.
Yeah, well, that's a request. That's not actually an argument as to why it makes sense to differentiate between the two. Yeah, look, I get what they're saying, and I think that they have on their side right now that people think the idea is disgusting. Even when the way you were describing it sent a shiver down my spine.
What? I'm into it.
No, I get that. Some people are. For right now, I think the idea is disgusting. But as soon as it tastes good, then it's done. Like already, I think there's no reason to eat fake chicken patties or chicken nuggets or meatballs because they're fake equivalents or fake equivalents.
I disagree. They are delicious.
Which are delicious?
Morningstar Farms chicken nuggets are my jam.
You cut me off. That's the point I'm making. There's no reason to eat the real ones because the fake ones are so good. I don't think that they've nailed everything, but I think that those are just as good as the animal equivalents. And eventually they'll do that for the others as well.
Right. So I think it has to.
So they have to protect themselves, but okay, that's fine.
Kind of just viewed this as a looming threat. A looming financial threat. But they did mention 3 specific companies, including Memphis Meats, which is backed by Tyson Foods, Bill Gates, food giant Cargill, and Richard Branson. So they do have a lot of faith in this one. Just, which was formerly called Hampton Creek, and Mosa Meats. And it looks like Memphis is coming to, they said they'll be in stores in 2018, which you may note is this year. So this seems like a last minute scramble to affect the marketing.
Yeah, well, no, good luck to them. They have to protect themselves, but I don't have to stay on their side.
I don't either, I don't agree with that. Audience, would you eat lab grown meat if it weren't called meat? Let us know on Facebook and Twitter.